Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into a profession that I'll admit I always picture as more about tradition, needles and thread, that kind of thing. But after seeing the research you've done, it looks like we're going to find out how even tailors are using things like AI and sophisticated job platforms.
Yeah, it's really interesting how even a craft as old as tailoring is changing so fast these days.
So let's use your notes on the career guide, Tailor, to kind of unpack this, shall we?
I'm good.
Okay, so the guide mentions that tailoring requires both creativity and precision. And I
Yeah.
get that, like that balance between artistry and really sweating the details. But before we get too far into the tech side of tailoring, can you just set the scene for us? Like if we walked into a tailor's workshop, what would we see? What's the vibe?
Okay, so imagine this. You walk into a workshop and the air has that gentle hum of sewing machines going. You can smell the faint scent of fabric in the air. Maybe there's a client getting fitted for a bespoke suit, and the tailor is pinning and adjusting the fabric really carefully, you know, really taking the time to make sure it's absolutely perfect.
There's that word bespoke. And that always sounds so modern to me, but didn't people used to have all their clothes custom made way back when?
That's true. It really is a centuries-old tradition.
It's pretty wild to think about how that's evolved alongside technology.
Definitely. And even though technology has changed how tailors do some things, the basics are still the same, right? Understanding fabric, having a good eye for detail, and of course, being able to take a client's vision and turn it into something they can actually wear.
Right, it can't all be about algorithms.
Exactly. And it's not just those small bespoke places either. There are factories making clothes on a much larger scale, design houses. And get this, there are even tailors who work remotely now, connecting with clients online.
Wait, remote tailoring. I gotta be honest, when I first read that, I wasn't so sure about it. How can you make sure something fits perfectly if you're not there in person?
Well, that's where the technology we were talking about comes in. The technology advances section in the guide talks about things like 3D body scanners.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, they can get your measurements super accurately and send that data to a tailor anywhere. So we're talking about a level of precision that you just couldn't get before.
I mean, it's one thing to use tech to order groceries online, but it's pretty wild to think about how it's impacting something as intricate as tailoring. But it does make you wonder, though, with all this high-tech stuff entering the picture, does that mean that, the old school hands-on skills of a tailor are becoming less important?
Not at all. I'd argue that they're even more important these days.
Wow.
Tech can make certain tasks faster, for sure, but it can't replace that human touch. The artistry, the problem solving, those are things you can only get from a skilled human being.
Yeah, it's like they say, a robot might be able to sew a straight line, but can it look at a human body and figure out how to make the clothes drape just right? I don't think so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that actually brings up a good point. The guide talks about this in the section called Knowledge and Learning. It basically says that to be a good tailor, you need to know a lot more than just how to sew.
Oh, really? There's more to it than just needles and thread.
Yeah, they got to know about different kinds of fabric, the
Right.
history of fashion, even a little bit about anatomy helps.
Wow, had no idea.
And then there's the business side of things too, right?
Yeah.
Like how to find clients, how to market yourself, all that.
So it's not just about being creative. You really got to be kind of like an entrepreneur, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so with all that in mind, how does someone even get started in this field these days? It seems like it would be super competitive.
It can be, yeah. But that's where these new platforms come in, like that RoleCatcher one we were talking about.
Oh, right, with the database of interview questions.
Yeah, over 120,000.
Seriously, it's like they want to make sure you really know your stuff.
Right. But it's not just about the interview questions. Their website have a whole section on how their AI can actually analyze a job description and then tell you which version of your resume would be best to use.
Wait, seriously? So it's like having some kind of super smart resume expert giving you personalized advice. That's wild. But hold on. Does that mean the AI is actually writing your application for you? Where does the human element come in?
It's a good question. I think a lot of people are worried about that with AI. Is it going to take our jobs? But with RoleCatcher, it's not about replacing you. It's more like giving you really, really powerful tools to help you succeed.
Gotcha. So you're still the one in control. The AI is just there to lend a hand. And what about that Get Discovered feature? Is that where you create a profile and then employers can find you?
Exactly. So instead of spending hours searching for jobs, you can just put yourself out there and let the employers come to you.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. No more sending out a million resumes and hoping for the best.
Right.
Sign me up. But all this talk about how technology is changing things, it makes you think about the bigger picture, right? Like, we're living in a world of fast fashion where people are constantly buying new clothes and then getting rid of them just as quickly. So where does that leave this idea of bespoke tailoring? Is there even room for that kind of craftsmanship in today's world?
Well, you're definitely right that fast fashion has had a huge impact on the industry, but I think there's a flip side to that too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
I think people are starting to realize that there are some real downsides to fast fashion. You know, the environmental impact, all those clothes ending up in landfills, and the fact that a lot of those garments aren't really made to last.
So you're saying people are looking for something different?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a real hunger for things that are well made, things that are built to last. And that's where I think bespoke tailoring has a real opportunity.
Because it's all about quality over quantity.
Exactly. It's about slowing down,
Yeah.
taking the time to create something truly special, something that's made to fit you perfectly. And it's not just about the clothes themselves either.
It's about the whole experience,
Yeah.
right?
That connection between the tailor and the client, the story behind the garment, that's something you just don't get with mass-produced clothing.
It's funny how things come full circle, isn't it? We started off talking about how technology is changing the tailoring industry. And now it seems like technology might actually be part of what helps bring back that really personal touch. Like maybe tech can make bespoke tailoring more accessible to more people.
It's definitely possible.
Well, this has been fascinating. From those age-old skills to the cutting-edge technology, it's clear that tailoring is a craft that's constantly evolving.
Definitely.
And for anyone listening who's maybe feeling inspired to pick up a needle and thread themselves.
Or maybe just look for a good tailor.
Exactly. Remember that true craftsmanship never goes out of style. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.